have and if I got this, is it correct on there? Did I get it correct on that? Did you see it?
It's Perfection Group. I'm not.
Yeah, it's Perfection. I put Perfection Efficiency Group, but I'll just go with Perfection Group.
That works.
So yeah.
Well, good evening. Thanks for your time. A few introductions. Tony Epro, sitting here with us. He's the president of our company. We were in Ashland today, making our trip back this way. This is Andrew Epro, and I'm Matt Callahan. We're with Perfection Group. We met Mayor Trent at the recent COA meetings for KSCO for new members, and we talked to him about opportunities for cities and counties to save money from energy usage, operational usage, and capital avoidance, and a program that is legislated by the state to do this. We look at three different areas of savings, like I said: energy savings, operational savings, capital avoidance. Energy savings performance contracting is a method to do this. We go through your cities and we look at water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants. We look at your water distribution, which is your automatic meter reading if you have that in the city. We look at your street lighting, traffic lighting. We look at your facilities, your infrastructure on that side of things. So we look at your buildings, this building, other buildings that you might have, and we look at those from a standpoint of energy conservation measures. Energy conservation measures have several categories. One of them would be lighting. We look at the efficiency of your lighting and those improvements that can be made in that sector. We look at your mechanical systems, your HVAC systems that are in there. We look at the building controls that control those HVAC systems and the lighting. We look at what we call retro commission. If this building has a very good unit that has 5 years of useful life, you don't want to throw that out. As we say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You extend that useful life, you make improvements to that. It's a low-cost opportunity to make the efficiency upgrades. You get it to as close to 100% of its original design, and extend that life and reduce the capital needs for that. We also look at water within the facilities. We take this 50,000-foot view and try to utilize the savings to pay for the programs instead of using the capital that you might have. You want to preserve your capital. This is a mechanism to do it. The beauty of this program is that the energy savings are guaranteed, meaning that if a company comes into the procurement process like us and we find $50,000 a year in energy savings, that's guaranteed. If there's a shortfall, say it's only $45,000 for 1 year, we have to write you a check for that difference. If there is an overage in savings, say you save $55,000, you get to keep that $5,000 and do what you want to with it. The idea is to utilize these savings as the capital for these projects. Again, it is state legislated under KRS 45A. We do a lot of these in the state. We work with a lot of cities and counties to develop these opportunities. One of the reasons that the cities and counties have not been a focus in this, there have been $900 million worth of these performance contracts done in the state since 1996. One reason that you haven't been a focus as a city or a county is because utility rates have been so low since utility rates have been in Kentucky, but the cost of electricity, gas, etc. is going to go up. That's a fact. We typically see somewhere between a 7 and 10% increase every year with the customers that we deal with on the side, so it's going to go up. The idea is to take advantage of possible infrastructure needs that you have and utilize this to move forward. What we typically do is we go in and do a no-cost survey for a city or a county. No obligation, no cost. We will come in and take a look at your utility bills, your operational costs, and we'll also do surveys of your facilities, the ones I described earlier, and bring you an analysis and a report back and say, here's where you are, and this is where you could be. Are you a candidate for this process? And if you are a candidate, we'll help with the documentation and take you through the RFP process if that's what you want to do. At the end of the day, you can go through this initial analysis, you can go through the RFP process, and if you get 3 or 4 companies like our company that come and provide a proposal to you, you're under no obligation to do anything. If you don't like any of the proposals that you see, you don't have to do anything. There's no cost, no obligation. The beauty of this as well is that you're not going to get a bid spec type proposal brought to you. They're going to be an engineered solution. because there is a guarantee as part of this process, the vendor that you choose has a stake in the game. Because of that, you're going to get what we call grade A equipment. You're going to get the trains, the carriers, the Lennox, etc. You're not going to get the contractor grade type equipment because we have specifications and we have engineered this equipment to do a job for you and make the savings to be what they need to be. What we're talking about here is just the opportunity to work with you guys and provide this analysis to you and see where you're at from an energy usage standpoint.
Have you found some communities that weren't candidates for your services?
Great question, yes.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no. One of the first ones, we've been at this almost 3 years now. The first one we went to was Garrett County. We met with Judge Wilson down there, presented the idea. I saw it in the paper that he was looking at something different, and the numbers looked funny to me. And I said, it might behoove you to have a second look at this, and we'll do it at no cost to you. And we came in, and they were roughly $5,000 to $10,000 in annual savings. They didn't have a big infrastructure. They don't have a jail. They don't have what a Rockcastle or Boyle County or Madison County might have from an infrastructure standpoint. They had needs, and he saw that. He knows that their mechanical systems were 40 years old, etc. But we came in and told them that from an energy standpoint, this isn't the best program for you because the energy, we can guarantee it, but it's not going to pay for a lot. You'd have to use your operational savings, which they didn't have a lot of as well. Capital avoidance on that side was a lot because I know there was probably 100 tons worth of cooling in the facility, which is about $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of work there on various systems. Now, it could be $500,000 depending on the system. That was going to be their big carrier for it. So they still haven't done anything. They have gone through the process, and we were the only companies that provided a proposal to them, but they have chosen not to do anything at this point in time. Still working with them.
I'm just curious.
Sure. No, it's a great question. Yeah. Typically what we see, cities and counties are a little bit different. The cities have water, wastewater treatment, and they have water distribution, and you have a lot of street lights, you have a lot of traffic lights that are different. Counties don't have that. Counties do have a jail, then they have bigger infrastructure needs. Another area we touched on, or I didn't touch on, is vehicles. How you purchase your fleet, how you deal with your fleet. Do you run your cars into the ground and try to sell them for pennies on the dollar if you can, or is there a better way to do that? And we found that leasing opportunities with companies like Enterprise have been a good option. City of Ashland is probably going to save about $75,000 a year on their fleet vehicles.
Do you work just with cities and counties?
We do some schoolwork, and we do work in Indiana and Ohio as well. But our focus for our team is on the cities and counties.
But our companies do work with businesses too, churches,
Okay.
offices.
And how many employees do you have? About
200.
200?
We're in 5 states. That's probably a better way to start. We're in 5 states. We've got 3 different business units. One of them is our construction and engineering division out of Cincinnati, where our headquarters is. We're in 8 cities in those 5 states. Tennessee, West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. I'm in the Lexington office. We've got a Louisville office. We cover the whole state of Kentucky. Andrew and I work the state together on this side of it. We've been in business for 63 years now, 64 years. Third generation.
I'm not been there 63 years.
There's only like 3 when you started on too.
And I had to tell her that is not I'm not his older brother. No, we've been in business since 1951. And quite honestly, I started the business in Lexington in 1995.
And where was it started in 51?
In Cincinnati. And I actually work out of our group office in Cincinnati. I think of our business as a 3-legged stool, and what I'm hearing here this evening is really kind of great to hear, especially on your website development, because that is a primary way in which to let things know. I'm working with the city of Lawrence in Indiana right now, and their infrastructure needs are none different than yours. And what it is, you have deferred maintenance, basically. You haven't done a lot of maintenance on a lot of things because you don't have the resources to get it done. You have older buildings, which are prime candidates for us. But one of the things with the city of Lawrence is they hired some students from Butler University to do exactly the same thing you're doing. And the interesting part about it is I will be writing a blog. You know how you hit your Explore tabs up there? One of them we're creating is called Green Sustainability. And so part of the blog process on the website is we will be doing newsletters on the project that we're doing for them. And we're going to say, hey, you're going to take 7 vehicles off the road by some of the carbon footprint reduction you're going to do with upgrading your vehicles. I was asking this young police officer earlier this evening, he was probably asking me why I was asking him the question. I was asking him about his car. And he was telling me that he drives the new Charger because he got away with the Crown Vics and all that. Not at all uncommon, let me tell you. And the biggest question he had, I asked him, he said, well, space is kind of limited in the back, you know, we don't have much in the trunk. But I'm going to tell you right now, one of the biggest things that we see in the green sustainability measure is having an alternate fuel source. And that alternate fuel source is a lot of times it pays for the program tremendously without reducing the quality of work that he has to do on the street. That's in one thing, and then I'll be quiet if anybody asks me a question. We're fortunate in Kentucky because of one thing. 90% of our power comes from what? Coal. But just last week, one coal-powered plant south of Illinois, Chicago closed. They have 7 that are D&D commissioned this year. What haven't we done as a society to affect what we're going to do after those coal plants go away? Nothing. Exactly right. So while we all may have a vested interest here in coal because we live here, and by the way, I do live in Lexington, so I have a vested interest in Kentucky, we haven't done anything about it. So what's going to happen is you're going to see it as consumers, not just in your home, but in your places of business, where those rates will start to creep up, and you're going to see it for the next 10 years. I will tell you now that if you're not expecting 7 to 10%, that's what it is, because we don't have an alternate source. Talk about natural gas or fracking or whatever you want, everybody has an opinion about that. But until you get to where we have an alternate source of doing that, you should be looking at things that you can do to make your footprint just a little bit better. And as Matt said, our initial investment to you is an investment in time. That's it. Our time is for these 2 guys to go out and look at how you're doing it. Based upon that, they'll give you a 30,000-foot level. Hey, here's what you spend, here's where you could be, here's the savings that you can generate, and you may be a candidate for a program. Then after that, it's your investment to go to the RFP process. And then we will bid like any other contractor and try to do that work. That's our ultimate goal, is to do the work. You mentioned the employees, 220, but 160 of those are guys in trucks that are out doing things and fixing things and putting things together. So that provides us what we call a low-cost solution to your needs. We're not a big energy service company. We are what we call a community-based green building contractor. That's what we are. Did I really confuse you? Thank you.
And I'm also going to say this, I don't know the name of the company, but if Glenn were here, Glenn would tell us, but I just found out end of last week, a company out of Louisville does very similar, I can't think of their name, but they do the same thing for the school system, and I cannot think of their name at all.
For Moorhead?
Siemens did more of that.
No, the schools, Round County School System.
Harshaw Training.
Oh, Harshaw Training.
That's it.
Right.
Hartsell?
Harshaw Training, that's right.
And if you did an RFP, they would probably bid on the RFP. Then you, as a council, would have the opportunity to take whatever pieces of the RFP and choose your vendor that you want to do the work. It's really that simple.
Okay. Well, now, for those of you who don't know, Tom works in building and Bruce works in building and they're the more technical among us. I mean, do you see this being a?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's something we should certainly consider.
I'm surprised you didn't have more discussion before this, based on what we're seeing tonight.
Well, I just got the materials.
If he'd have had it Friday, you'd have been in trouble.
Yeah, he'd had 100 questions.
Well, our cell phones are other, so we're happy to answer for any phone calls that you have.
The thing I like about it is, they came to my office and met after we met in Lexington, is the fact that, I mean, you always like to, it's one of those infomercials, but it's not. It's literally no obligation. I think we ought to, when's the last time, if ever, we've done this? Do you all know? I don't know. I'm new to this. I don't think we've ever done this. Do you know, Joe or Greg, have we ever had someone come in and look at our energy efficiency.
My leisure here.
Well, so I, you know, to me, I think it's a no-brainer.
You know, in our particular setup that we've got here, we have a separate corporation created by the city that runs the utilities, Morehead Utility Planning
But you
Board.
still have an oversight
Right.
piece to that, correct?
We have an oversight piece to it, but it's certainly something you would want to probably talk to Mike Nickel, the manager there, about.
Certainly.
directly.
Have you met Mike? You know Mike?
No, we have not. No, what, we talked to you first, and, you know, we respect what you want to do with your council, and that's why we try to,
No, we appreciate that.
yeah, make that.
I'll make sure, I give you Mike's number, and maybe he can talk to them and see.
We'll need to start collecting utility data and things like that, so we'll probably have a phone call with you to find out who
That's
you
fine.
can direct us to on internally, and then the other department heads that we'll need to talk to.
That'd be great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very
Thank you for being
much.
here, appreciate
Thanks,
it.
thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Is that something we're gonna look into doing?
Do you need a motion on that, Joyce?
Yeah.
No.
Generally speaking, we just like to get a